Hello and welcome to Clawful Evil Probable Claws, a show where we discuss Wildbow's most neurotoxic work. I'm your very villainous hostess, Vice Versailles.
And I am your conniving hostess, Kipos. In this debriefing, we're covering Chapter 2 of Arc 6, Bear. And whew, what a chapter. Yeah, I remain incredibly happy that we're in Mia's head, because, my god, she's going through some shit here. I really like this chapter. It's very intense.
The number of injuries that are going through this team.
Oh my god, yeah.
Before Arc 6 even started, Ripley was down an arm. Carson has a constantly reopening wound in his side. Mia's hand is badly hurt. Her shoulder is badly hurt.
She knows that she feels like she would lose an arm wrestle with Tia, the 4-year-old. So pretty bad. And now she's been shot in the leg as well.
Yeah.
Ugh.
As far as Bear goes, we're really having to bear a great number of injuries.
It's just I don't know, there are sections here that are just hard to read, and not because of anything bad, but kind of bad because it's heartbreaking. But there are a few sections here which is it just hurts, it's just brutal. It just breaks your heart.
Ripley's surgery without anesthetic.
Oh yes, Ripley's second surgery without anesthetic. It's just so fucking brutal, and the way that Mia has to hold her to stop her from pulling away so that Carson can cut into her and rip the tracker out. It's you get why she immediately gags, because it's a sickening idea.
Imagine leaving this surgery, a life-altering surgery, and then the doctor says, "Sorry, you've got to go back in. There was a complication. The previous surgeon was an asshole, and he left some stuff behind, so we're gonna have to fish it out. Terribly sorry."
I have heard of that happening, so
there was that whole fiasco with implants. Not just pretty much anywhere in the body. There was a sort of cartel occasion where the size of implants were always magnitudes above what the patient had requested.
God.
And we know where Davy managed to find surgeons to employ.
Terrible. This chapter was
I
really
just
good.
Get out on a limb, and I gotta find my way back, and it's a long and circuitous route.
Yeah, well, I guess that's fair enough. You still have all 4 limbs to which you can go out on, so that's handy. And look, I really loved.
It's actually 2 hands. The rest are feet.
Mia and Natalie's interactions in this chapter are so fun. You just feel that bitterness and that hate, that loathing. It's so fun. I noted a couple of times down in my notes, but there is some really fun interactions between the two.
It's such a cat fight. And I think my favorite part about it is how Mia is like, "What the hell, man? Why would you be so angry at me?"
Yeah,
it's what did I do to deserve this?
But at the same time, you feel Mia's frustration of she's trying to figure this shit out so they can escape safely, and Natalie's response is "fuck you," and not even whispered. It's not a "fuck you," it's "fuck you." You feel the frustration on both ends, because we talked about, oh god, not last week, we talked about in our previous episode about how hellish this situation would have been for Natalie, because truly hell. So your heart really, really goes out to Natalie in these moments, and you get why she's reacting the way that she's reacting. But at the same time, you really understand Mia's perspective, why she's stop fucking bitching at me and just give me the fucking thing, or just tell me what has happened, Yeah,
cooperate with me for once.
Yeah,
you didn't let me have my child that I stole. Why can't you cooperate with me now when our lives are on the line? But it's that quote. Hell is other people in a bunch of vents. That was a very, very insightful academic.
hell is other people in a bunch of events. It like really nails like actually just this particular situation. It's funny how it was like it's been passed down for so long, and yet it's just very specific to arcs.
Alarmingly prescient. I like to think that Wildbow, heard that quote when he was young, and I didn't realize that he was bringing it to life.
Oh yeah, it's just been percolating in his mind all these years.
When Dante's Inferno has that weird sort of space between the fourth and fifth ring of hell, it's just a bunch of vents.
I don't even know where to go with that joke. Shall we do today's chapter summary?
Absolutely. In 6.2, Ripley and Mia discuss the complexities of morality over elderwood and chainsaw arms, while Natalie and Mia have a mutual spook-off, each the other's boogeyman. Natalie's nicked the generator's belt, which Mia lays as bait for the CI analyst. Carson rips the tracker out of Ripley's stump. Mia gets shot in the leg in a shootout, which Natalie would never allow. And Ripley, who remains 12... I was about to say 12.
It literally says 11 notes here.
After all this time, I still can't read. And Ripley, who remains 11, goes around asking Davy's victims if they would like to be euthanized. They all bicker and board up the basement, and despite the pleas of the doctors on staff, Mia turns on the gas. So Davy decides to burn it all down.
Oh, God, okay. All right, let's talk about last week's BS predictions. And I think I'll go first here with one that is, I still think it would have been amazing, but it's very wrong, which was that Natalie had already slipped out of the vents and was pretending to be one of the goons. And obviously that's not true, but it would have been good.
I think that as far as twist goes, that would be really good if Natalie was built up as a character with applicable competence to this situation. She's really not an action movie hero. She's not supposed to be on so many levels.
But because we've never gotten Natalie's perspective. We know very little about Natalie, just what she said. So what if she is one of the secret CIA agents, one of the analysts?
I can really see it in her characterization thus far.
Oh yeah, between
talking to Ryder and dealing with all the undercover marshals. And
she's keeping it on the down low
for children. She's just keeping it on the down low that she's a James Bond level secret police officer.
Yeah, a Jane Bond, if you will.
The current 007 is an woman, so it could just be Natalie.
Could be Natalie.
It's interesting the text never mentions her British accent. As for my prediction, since Brian has the least narrative staying power dualistically, I think Brian is the only one that will make it out of here, and he's not dead yet.
Yeah, it could still happen.
He was in fact properly suited to not get gassed, so he survived one major attempt on his life.
He sure has. Let's hope he survives to get out of this fucking hellhole of a mansion.
I believe in him. We know so little about this boy. So, if he gets shot and dies immediately, I think that will be not too much of a surprise. But
it would be sad.
It will be devastatingly sad, which is why I like to think that he has super duper plot armor and is entirely immune to... He's actually... The secret solution for getting out of this is abusing his plot armor. If Mia uses Brian to get through all of her problems, he'll just deflect all the bullets with his big secret magnet that his mayor dad gave him.
Perfect. Look, it would be sad, and I know Wildbow is he's just a real solid dude, and he would never do something to make me personally sad. He's never done it in any of his other books. I've definitely never cried reading any of his books, and so it won't happen again.
Yeah, and every step
gonna be okay.
Of analyzing Claw has been such a hoot and joy for you and I. I've gotten pretty much everything that I've wanted. You've gotten pretty much everything that you've wanted. Everything's been fine. So the odds that something would happen that is at all unpredictable is highly unlikely.
True. At the same time, it has actually been a hoot to analyze Claw. It's been really fun.
I have had fun.
Yeah.
I as established, I love being wrong, which is why I say a bunch of shit all the time.
See, I love being right, and I'm just not very good at it.
It's a skill. You gotta try before you succeed.
Well, I'm trying.
Shall we get straight into the beat by beat? Because I feel like this is a like action heavy chapter. It's kind of
it's very
wall to
actiony.
wall. So as far as like drawing out the moments, I feel like it's better to really see it unfold.
Yeah, I mean, I like that it's also like it's a very actiony chapter, but it's also a very talky chapter, which is really fun. I like that. Yeah, so much of it is just these discussions between our characters that are in horrible places. So I guess to start with some discussions between characters that are in horrible places, we have Ripley saying, "But you are a criminal." Yeah, but it kind of gets topsy-turvy when the cops are bad guys, right? And I'm like, I love this. Like, Mia, you're not doing it because the cops are bad guys. You're not a criminal because it's topsy-turvy. Like, yeah, the cops are the bad guys. Like, you're not doing it because ACAB and you're against the police state. Like, you're doing it basically for yourself. Like, I think I pointed out this moment in my live read and was like, yeah, like, that's why the anarchist radio people are fucking based as hell, because they are, like, anti-establishment in this way. But like Mia, sweetie, like I love you, but that's not you. You're not.
Well, she's trying to be hip with the kids.
She's trying to be hip, and she's not nailing it. Like yes, it gets topsy turvy, but also Mia, a lot of the shit you do is really bad. Like really bad. And yes, like there are some things you do that are kind of good in there as well, but there's a lot that's really fucking bad. Yeah. And so as Mia's like reflecting on this conversation, she's like, Mia had anticipated this conversation for a long time. She wanted to be careful to give Ripley the space to navigate her own feelings. And I'm like, I fucking love this framing, like the way that she's putting it. Like this is all kind of, you can really feel at this point that this has always been her plan to like be careful, give Ripley the information without telling Ripley what to feel. And like, yeah, she's kind of like defending herself a little bit with like, oh, it gets topsy-turvy, but like she's not saying like we're only criminals because, you know, it's the right thing to do. She's saying like it's grey. Yeah. Like I do like this. And I don't think she nails it in this chapter, but I think she does really fucking well. So I guess to contrast this framing that I really fucking adore, we have our next part, which is if Ripley felt abandoned or unheard, or if she balked, then it could cause problems at a vital moment in their escape. If Mia could win her over, there was even a chance that Ripley might be willing to leave Natalie. And I'm like, I really don't love this framing. Like, it's so understandable, and like relatable in a way, because obviously, you know, it's her daughter. Like in Mia's mind, it's 100% her daughter. But I'm like, girl, you gotta do what you just said and give Ripley the space to navigate her own feelings. And like, she does do that a fair bit in this chapter, and I think she does really well. I think there's just a couple of moments like this where like she's really giving the game away about like what she thinks is the correct solution to this problem.
Yeah. There was something that it was a conversation I was having with my dear friend about sort of the best presentation of facts, like this temptation when you're having a conversation with someone to like sort of like in the way that the truth is organized, advocate for yourself. And the like it's these flashes of not exactly selfishness, but like flashes of priorities that like reveals that even as Mia is trying to provide this space to Ripley, she is very much a biased board to be bouncing off of.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like I feel like the you are a criminal, yeah, but it gets kind of topsy-turvy line is especially indicative because it does ally her with like an ACAB movement or things that are like more like certainly from Ripley's perspective antagonistic to Davy, who has taken over the establishment. And it casts this shadow where Mia can appear as like a benevolent heroine who is doing the right thing because it's right and the good thing because it's good. But she never says that. It's just that she doesn't deny it, and she like puts forward the building blocks that could allow that to be said. So like Ripley has good reason to start to think of her that way.
No, I like that framing.
And this next quote that you pulled, I leave it to you to read, but I feel like it's another one of those like neat encapsulations of what is tilted about her framing.
So in one of the stories about Solomon, two mothers argued they should have a baby, and Solomon offered to cut that child in half. The true mother forfeited her claim for the sake of the child. Mia didn't trust Natalie to forfeit like that for Ripley's sake. And I'm like, I love this. Like, first of all, like, I love that this has just like become a textual thing because like, yeah, obviously like that vibe of like, you know, and the classic story of Solomon here is like been in the back of people's minds for a while. But like, and it goes unstated here. But I do want to question, like, would Mia give up her claim? Like, I think personally, I would put her and Natalie in the same boat here. And that is possibly unwilling to give up the claim, which sucks. Like, and I love that, like, Mia doesn't even think about it. She's just like, I don't trust Natalie to do it. And it's like, Mia, are you even going to think about if you would? Like, you know, like, and I get that in her mind, it's like, if Ripley had stayed with Natalie, she would be dead. But like, girl, that was 10 years ago. Like, that's not going to happen this time. So would you give up your, like, knowing that Ripley would be, I mean, she'd be fucked up, but like knowing she would be alive, would you let her go with Natalie? I don't think so. I mean, I think I could see Mia struggling and scraping through like a dual custody kind of thing that's very difficult and intense. But like, I don't see her I don't see her leaving Ripley's life 100%. I just don't think that's realistic.
I see it as related to what Valentina was getting into with Mia, where Valentina's priority was sort of an appeal to integrity, where if you continue to behave coherent with the person that you would need to be for this to be acceptable, you are making the situation more allowable. Like through a consistent improvement and like a level of moral good, there you are earning a sort of a sort of judgmental slack, or at least like a good, like almost good karma. And so like Mia is focusing on that same kind of idea, right? Like if in this hypothetical scenario, Natalie was capable of demonstrating this degree of integrity, only then would she be allowed to like not have like be forgiven for not expressing it elsewhere. You know, it's like you've passed one test, so it's acceptable if you fail another. And like Valentina's point was that Mia ought to be holding herself to such standards. So you know, it's and you know, later on there's this other deflection. I'll read it out now. She's still angry and fighty, but it's about you instead. It might be easier than being angry at herself. Like coal is coming from inside the house, Mia. It's like you're shifting the sort of critique that you don't want to land on yourself.
Yeah, there's so many things about that quote that do bother me, like that, because like it's Mia looking in the mirror and being like, actually it's this other person that's angry, you know, because it's easier than being angry at yourself for fucking up. And it's like, yeah, Mia, fucking look at yourself. But also like, no, like Natalie should be angry at you, actually, Mia. It's incredibly correct and valid to be pissed off at you. Like, yeah, they're like, yes, she should like maybe have been mad at herself 10 years ago. And hopefully by this time she would have processed that. But no, she should be angry at you. Like, of course she should be. What are you talking about? Like,
and it's the same thing with the Solomon quote of like, the true mother forfeited her claim for the sake of the child. Natalie is the true mother. There isn't like a event that needs to happen. She doesn't need to be like, there is a truth to the situation that really tips the scales away from me.
Yeah.
But she just doesn't consider that role. It's not on her table.
No, which, Mia, you're such an interesting character. I love her. She's so fun. She's so interesting. So we skipped, we talked about two quotes that were sandwiching one. So they were fighting, Sean too. And I love that this is like the moment that like Ripley learns that like, because like she's seen Natalie at like a really bad point here, and like she's seeing like you know, like Sterling seems so fucking miserable and alone, and she's like, maybe in the back of her mind she's like, you know, Natalie's been going through a hell of a time the last couple of years, if I had never been taken from her, she would have been like an excellent mom. And maybe this Sean guy would have been an excellent dad, and it would have been a happy family, like the same that I have with Mia and Carson. And then she learns that like no, like these guys have been kind of, I don't know, not messed up, but like dysfunctional, even all the way back then. Which is just hard. It's difficult.
And it also isn't the right time to share that information. It's not relevant to them getting out of this alive.
It isn't. But I guess Ripley is like starting that conversation about like wanting to know more of like the context around what the truth is, like what happened, why Mia kidnapped him. So I don't know. I do let her off the hook here, because it is. I can see why you would want to immediately explain yourself, and I can see why you would want to basically immediately know. Yes. So then we have a note of like what was happening during the Ben arc, my favorite arc. She and Carson had broken into Natalie's place and looked at some of Ben's saved footage when he had Ripley at the hospital. And I'm like, I love hearing what our fun little silly goobers, what our star-crossed lovers were up to during the Ben arc. Like, because obviously, like that whole time we knew they were doing shit. We just didn't know what they were doing. So it's cool to see, like, yeah, of course they'd like break into the apartment and watch a bunch of his footage. Like, that's the exact kind of shit that they would be 100% like on board with.
I am always stuck on whenever Ben's footage enters the story as separate from Ben's camera, because like if there's something in the character of Ben that is highly to do with like he is making the choice of what goes on footage, and then he has next to no autonomy about what becomes of that footage. And like a lot of his actions are like first domino, and then things tumble out of control. Like, I'm going to invite the marshals in. Oh no, things tumble out of control. Now they've abducted Ripley and Natalie. So I'm going to film absolutely everything that I see. Oh, now some criminals have broken into my house and they've reviewed that footage, so they have all of the information that I do.
Yeah, and they also can see, like, if they get if they get hold of this, which I assume that they would have, like, made a fucking backup of all of his footage, because that's exactly the kind of shit that they would do. Of, like, they can release parts that he would, like, cut in the edit, like, things that make himself and Natalie look worse, and, like, things that make them look kind of crazy, like, the whole unedited thing around, the character whose name I've forgotten, where we started with Ben, where, like, they thought she was the one that had taken Ripley.
Catherine, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. So I really, I do think that's interesting. Is that, like, she has, or the Hearsts now have, like, a degree of control over that information where it cannot just be edited to be perfect, like in the exact way that is wanted to be, because there are other, like, sources out there.
Or worse, you can get a he said, she said of like different edits that conflict.
Yeah.
Because like you can always destroy a story by throwing another similarly shaped story at it at speed.
Yeah.
It's like matter and antimatter.
Exactly.
But, which neatly sides into if Natalie, Ben, and Ryder didn't make it through tonight due to bad luck or other circumstances. ...
I love it. It's so good. It's like, Mia, you little goober. Are you planning to murder them? Just a little bit planning to murder them? Maybe a smidge? Maybe not planning to murder them, because Ripley might blame you, but maybe just kind of, if they happen to die, oh, what a shame.
Kippos, I am loving this Blorbo attitude.
It's so good.
What if my silly billies all went on a killing spree? Oh no. Wouldn't it be a shame? Those scamps. Oh, those scallywags.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really fun. I love this little quote here. It's so innocuous, and I love that it's just like slipped in there into that paragraph, and it's like, Mia, are you trying to be subtle, girl, in your own thoughts? Like, come on. You're doing the exact same thing that Ryder was doing, like, 2 arcs ago, I think, where he was like, well, the best way that this is like the only way that this is really getting dealt with and like grabbing his gun. And it's like, yeah, neither of y'all are subtle. Okay. Come on. Come on.
But hey, they're both career murderers.
They both are career murderers. I guess the one thing, I don't know, I feel like people might maybe about to give me shit for like doing that comparison, and I feel like I was probably like, Ryder, what the fuck? And with Mira, I'm like, haha, it's so fun. I think it's important to remember that Ryder is supposed to be like a representative of the law and justice in the land. And he was talking about extrajudicially murdering people, whereas Mia's a fucking criminal of the highest order that we know will casually murder people, and I think it's nice when she does.
It's sort of expectations and standards. You know, there is a quite literal double standard, because Ryder signed up for something that society bought into, and Mia specifically has signed off of the social construct in a number of ways.
Yes, Ryder should be better. Mia, I'm happy that she's worse. Okay, anyway, enough about that. That's fine. If you're going to jump in comments and at me, I don't know, I guess you can, but you're not going to change my mind. So the next quote here is, but I need you to believe there's a way this can all be okay. I'm like, sob. We all need to believe this. Mia, I think most of all, it's just heartbreaking. Every time Mia is talking to Ripley in this entire fucking chapter, breaks my fucking heart. It's so difficult, you know? Like, it's just,
This particular quote, delivered from the basement of a hell house in the middle of a burning forest on a state that is like centimeters away from martial law, and in a country that is falling apart on a planet that is combusting. It's, you know, who knew that Qual was going to be a story about hope? But really feeling the bottom of Pandora's box at the moment.
Yeah. And I love, so I love this conversation here where Mia is saying, like, trying to get Natalie out will make it harder, which, okay, you didn't need to mention that. I think we all knew that, Mia. Do you want to come talk to her too? Are you feeling steady enough? And I'm like, I love this. This is like such a good beat of Mia doing exactly what she said earlier, which is giving agency to Ripley and saying, what is going to make you the most comfortable? Like, how can I make this so that you are happy with what's happening? I don't know. I really, really fucking like this. Like, because obviously there's a moment like right before that where Mia's like, well, if I go talk to her and she says, oh, you guys get out, leave me here, will you be okay with that? And Ripley's like, no, I can't be okay with that. Extremely fucking valid, because yes, you would always wonder. There would be that would be in your brain for the rest of your life. But no, I really like that after that fact, like, Mia, like, swears to herself, like, in her mind, she's like, fuck, that makes it a lot harder. That means I can't just abandon Natalie and pretend I tried to help her. But then she then goes and takes the extra step, like, do you want to come as well and talk to her? And, like, what's going to make you happiest? Like, how can I, support you as my child? I like it. I really like it. So then, speaking of Mia and Natalie talking, and this is one of the moments I referenced earlier. When you damaged the generator, what did you do? What? If there was any way Mia could kill Natalie and still thread that needle, keep Ripley happy and find a way through this, she would be sorely tempted to now. And it's like, oh, Mia. I adore how both her and Carson find Ben and Natalie just like fucking nails on a chalkboard to deal with. Like, because in these high-stress situations, Ben and Natalie react like normal fucking humans generally, and they don't, like, snap to and salute and immediately answer perfectly. And I have given Ben shit for that before, to be fair, and I am also giving Natalie a bit of shit for that now, for, like, not just answering the fucking question, because you're in a high-stress situation, but also, like, you're not a freak, like Mia and Carson. But I love how both of them, like, when these characters are, like, trying to, like, I don't know. I feel like Ben was trying to push back. I feel like Natalie is less trying to push back and more just like not like complying straight away, like just wanting to know a bit more, which I guess Ben was trying to do as well. But I just love how much it just clearly fucking infuriates our Hearst characters. It's so fun. Just this moment where she's like, if I could kill this bitch right now, I would.
It's such a gear change, because
yeah.
moments before, Mia is chatting with Ripley about, like, hey, do you want like a functional steampunk arm, or is it just like aesthetic cosplay? Is it like a chainsaw that could be fun? Like it's this like really meeting her where she was at, like the solace that she was trying to find in her chapter, like reaching for her fantasy books.
And just so fucking sweet.
Mia goes over to a different vent, opens up, and there is a woman who calls her a monster and is constantly swearing at her and is not cooperating in the slightest, and is immediately deserving of, like, I am now fascinated with the idea of killing you in terms of attitude. It's so striking to that at no point does Natalie talk about, like, how they got here, like how did they get free, how did they escape, and Ripley doesn't bring it up either. Mia is like really engaging on the practical front of, we need to get out of here, we need to get out of here alive. I'm even angrier because I have to handle even more variables, but I'm willing to attempt that rather than give up. And I'm caught on this sort of, like I mentioned earlier, that sort of advocating for yourself, like line of conversation. Natalie comes out, like claws out, just immediately cutting into Mia. Ripley's mind is way out on the future and on like not the practicalities, but like the spirit of the present, like what would be the good thing to do, what would be the right thing. Trying to get the justice out of the situation. And I feel like if either of them were to tilt toward I guess step a bit closer to, well, what Natalie did was got a thing to lockpick the handcuffs with, and then I got us out of there, and then we got climbed in. I wonder if that play-by-play could have built rapport, or like even revealed like a degree of competence or respect in these characters.
I think that would be important for like Mia to like actually have like a fraction of a % of respect for Natalie, and like,
and I think just asterisk that with Natalie should not have to do anything to try and earn Mia's respect.
No, of course not.
Like that's like, and the thing is, the real thing that I'm trying to emphasize is that both these people are in a room with a very dangerous woman, who they both have fraught relationships with.
Yes.
And they're both like not exactly lashing out at her in Ripley's case, but definitely lashing out at her in Natalie's case. But they're both interrogating her and attacking her and trying to eke out what they want out of her. And like each with good reason. And I'm just kind of wondering, I suppose more than anything else, that's like where the slack on the rope is for further conversation, because like this is all pent up conversation, right? Like Ripley needs to know, like Natalie has to say this, but like if in the course of this escape from the Cavalcanti compound, like a rapport were to start being built, I'm just noticing that those areas haven't been tapped into at all. That like Ripley hasn't gotten to say to her dad, "Hey, I managed that lockpicking that you." And like Natalie hasn't gotten to say, "Well, I like stood up to Davy Cavalcanti, got punched in the gut, and that was what like let us get a
lockpick."
Get a lockpick. Like I've been putting myself on the line for this. There's not really that advocating. So they're at Mia's whim on terms of like Mia extends Ripley autonomy and grace because she's always going to do that, and Natalie gets like next to nothing from Mia. Because as if Mia were going to do that. So
I agree. Like it's that. I think that is the bridging point. Like being able to say, like, you know, from Natalie being able to say, like, here, like I have done, like I've fucking struggled to try and do my best to keep Ripley safe and get us free. And yeah, like not that quote unquote Mia deserves it, but just like that is a way to bridge the gap between these two,
and
in such a way that needs to happen.
I think it's the sharpest possible contrast from what of like the like where is the belt? What did you do the generator? What are you talking about? I'm surprised that we're talking about the practicalities of the situation. I have a lot to get out of off my chest here.
I've got to say fuck you a lot and call you a monster.
If like all things that I would like dare say are true, they're things that are really agitating the bear in the room, right? So
yes.
I suppose what's being really revealed here is a degree of like sincerity and a lack of manipulation on these two's part.
Yeah. Which I mean, I like. I mean, I think Mia is generally relatively, which is why she pairs so perfectly with Carson, who is very not sincere. I like their talk. I really enjoyed it. I agree with pretty much everything you just said.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, my next quote. We have something from Mia, and it's really hard to read. Rip, honey, Mia whispered. I need you to be brave. Oh, fuck me. Like, god damn it, Wildbow. It's hard to read. Again, it's just hard to read. Like, I've taken no more notes for that section. Because I did not want to, because it just made me sad again. I don't know anyone with the specific trauma that Ripley just received of someone who loves me very much has to hold me down for a surgery without anesthetic. That's because I mean that's horrifying. Really conflating, like I don't if we ever get back to Ripley's perspectives, I feel like she's gonna have to dwell on my mom like used her massive, incredible muscles not to hold me for the first time in my life, but to hold me down so that my dad could cut my arm open. That's trauma. That's if anything was going to traumatize Ripley. If removing the arm wasn't going to traumatize Ripley, like that's genuinely fucked. It's so horrifying. It's so. Yeah, and like I love that like nobody else in this moment could do it. Like nobody else in this moment could hold her down in the way that she needed to be held down here. Nobody else had the capability of doing this. It has to be Mia that holds her as Carson her, she has to be held by her mum as her dad cuts her arm open.
As far as
takes a chunk out of it.
As far as pouring nightmare fuel onto the fire, this is like it's potent stuff. It's diesel, It's
I think after 6.1 there was a little bit of discussion in the Doof Discord in the Claw spoilers section, where people were saying like, oh, like is it in the arm? I guess it probably is in the arm, but maybe not. And I'm like, I remember I mentioned like I think it has to be in the arm because you have to think about like what's the most fucked thing here, which is they have to do more surgery on her again without anesthesia. And it's not doctors this time. It's the people that love her most in the world. Like, oh, fuck me. Just brutal.
For me, that was a real reading comprehension moment of like, the words in the page are, there's only one place that it can be. And my understanding is, it must be in the stump.
Yeah,
but then,
same.
Like, that's such a terrible thing. And there's so little other information that even like with I would say a fair amount of certainty in terms of like what Wildbow is capable of and what happens in his stories. I was still stuck on the sort of bargaining phase of
I think that's totally reasonable.
It can't be. Come on.
Yeah, desperately wanting it to be anywhere else, but yeah, I think what we know of both Wildbow and Davy, I think it had to be in the stump. It had to be. I mean, brutal stuff. Obviously I didn't take any more notes for that section, but it's just fucked. It was difficult to read and it's been a little difficult to talk about. Once again, thank you Wildbow for really fucking us up. Anyway, then we get to skip forward a nice little amount, for my next quote, which is that someone landed in the gasoline at the base, hacking, coughing, sloshing. He pushed at the door and they broke the seal, letting gasoline leak out. And I'm like, once again, Mia, like you've just made a fucked trap. Like this is messed up. I thought razor blades in the window sill were fucked up, but this is pretty bad as well. Cannot imagine much worse than like slipping, injuring yourself by like slipping down a flight of stairs and then just like landing all in like fucking petrol. Like I feel like you would very quickly start feeling very sick and passing out. Doesn't feel like a good time.
Also, the sudden increase in your flammability.
Oh yes, yes, I concur. It's just bad. Like it's just a bad time. Yeah. I liked it. Obviously because I'm a freak and really enjoy everything that Mia does. But horrible. So then we have our shootout.
I'm so glad that we brought a masochist onto this podcast. I really think that was, looking back on the story, wouldn't have had it any other way.
Perfect, isn't it? So then we have our shootout, and now she had a hole in her leg with no idea how bad it was. And I'm like, God, these hearse love to be shot up. Like, they just love getting shot at. They love having bullets put in them. But I do really like the detail here where we like don't even see that Mia like falls. Like she's standing before this, like she's standing by the door. And then the next time that we see her describe how she is, she's laying down. So I love that like this fall is just completely lost in the noise and the aftermath of this shooting as like she realizes that she's been shot. She doesn't even comprehend that she's fallen over. It's now laying down.
There's bad interoception, and there's I've been shot and I've only just noticed interoception, and then there's I've fallen over and have been like tumbled over for a while now levels of bad interoception. Mia, like I have this like mental image of someone like having a psychic link with Mia for like 30 seconds, like less, like even for just a moment, and immediately starting to scream just as they register what she is not registering.
I think. Yeah, if you could feel pain, being in Mia's body would be hell on earth. Because my God, she really fucks herself up.
As mentioned in Dante's Inferno events.
Sorry, I don't know why that got me. Anyway,
are you hacking on some of the gasoline trap there?
It's just a bit of gasoline and then also some ammonia and bleach all together. It's just really making me laugh.
Just really trying to clean up the bathroom.
Okay, so 350,000 Mia called out. And I'm like, this is such an excellent and like amazingly practical moment from her. Like we all know, like everybody reading this story knows that like as soon as she gets her hands on him, she is going to pull his intestines out with her bare hands. For what he did to Ripley. Like what he indirectly did to Ripley. But like it's totally feasible. Like it's a deal that I could see myself taking. If someone like shouted a dollar amount at me to like be like, yeah, we'll like patch you up. We give you a bunch of money. Like you don't die from the bullet in your chest. Like I'd be like, yep, fuck yep. Absolutely. But like, yeah, obviously he pretends to take it and then tries to kill Carson and gets his head. No, he doesn't get his head blown off. He just gets shot again. It's a different guy that got his head blown off. I like this moment.
Is having a great time here.
Oh yeah, the 11-year-olds are having a fantastic time. And then obviously Mia comes back over with her top missing, and Carson's like, "Why don't we do more jobs where we need more wadding?" He asked Tone Light, and I'm like, I fucking love these two goobers. Like, good job keeping that mood light, Carson. Proud of you, buddy. Like, it's just so good. It's so stupid.
Carson taking a moment to be a certified wife guy is just it's so sweet. It's
like they take that moment to hit on each other. Like it's so good. I love it. I love this couple. They're so fucked up.
There's a particular like Morticia and Gomez Adams spice.
Yes.
Of just like this is an inappropriate situation to be trying to seduce one another, and thereby it feels more sincere, and also it is like a great relief. Like for him to ask something Tone Light is like it's an inception moment of like the plan narratively of like what Wildbow is trying to do and like what is happening in world of just like let's liven it up a little bit before things get bad again.
Yeah, let's let everyone have a little fucking laugh here because this has been like a just horrible time in the chapter. I mean, like, yeah, obviously, I always do this where I'm using negative words to describe what's happening, and I'm like, no, I really enjoyed reading this chapter. It's just like the things that are happening in the chapter are horrible. It hurts your heart. So,
do you know if that's an Australianism of like that was sick mate or like
I think saying something
using the negative
is. I don't know. It might be, but I think it's more global. In case it is an Australianism, then like I'm so sorry. I mean, I really enjoyed this book. Just so everyone knows, like when I say that this is fucked and this is horrible, I mean like, but also I enjoyed it.
I still in the back of my head is like the ringing note of when we first met Carson and both of us like being in like queer circles went, oh, like here is our best man, the slut. We love this guy.
Yeah,
he's he's so sexy.
I still love him.
And like the like people going, don't call him a slut. That's so mean. Don't do that.
He's such a slut. I love him.
It's just a complete language failure.
Yes,
like semantic drift. But
yeah,
we're not getting into 6.3 this week, but
we have both read it.
On this particular note, I have more things to say about Carson. But
yeah,
we'll leave that to another time.
Yeah. We have both read it. I guess mid-episode for anyone still listening, I'm just like in a bad mental place at the moment. And I didn't really feel up to doing both episodes today. So honestly, we're just doing this one.
I feel like even if you and I were both in a good mental place, 6.3 of all chapters feels like it needs a good deal more heft and prep, you know? Like it
does. But at the same time, because I read the two of them over the last couple of days, when I read them back to back, I was like, fuck, I love how these two pair up. And I would have loved to talk about 6.2 and 6.3 and the contrast between them. But yeah, like obviously we're not talking about 6.3 at the moment. So no spoilers, don't worry.
Hopefully we'll get that chance when we talk about the arc with a special guest, Redacted.
Bum bum bum, mystery guest. Which is, I guess that's not that exciting. All of our guests are mystery guests until
it's really crazy that only now are we telling people that they could have known who the guests were all along by just asking.
Or like you just have to follow the clues that we've laid all throughout of all of
I
our
have been
episodes.
laying so many puns to allude to like I have outright said the name of each of our guests at some point or another.
Yeah. You just have to, everybody has to go back and re-listen to all of our podcasts so they can figure it out.
What a terrible shame. Anyway, welcome to the ARG that I have been inviting for the last few months that attaches to core. Anywho, the way.
Excellent. Right. Anyway, back to our notes. Sorry. Getting a little sidetracked. My brain is a bit strange
the
at the moment. So
it's
the toxic fumes.
Yeah.
So Natalie gets out of her vent and she says, "Were those gunshots you?" Natalie asked as she stalked her way over. I love the use of stalked here. It's just it conveys the vibe perfectly. Are you an idiot? We're now stuck in a basement, surrounded. What the hell were you thinking? And I'm like, fucking hell, Natalie. Like you and Ben sometimes, same vibe. Like you're just projecting like the idea that you know what would have been the right call. And, like, you don't know any of the specifics, but, like, you are, like, her and Ben both kind of do this thing where they're like, my version of what should have happened is correct. I don't know what the specifics are that made the different person pick their option, but I'm going to assume it's because they're a moron or because they just have a bad moral compass or they suck. Like, it's definitely not because I didn't understand the situation fully. It's definitely because of just how much of a bad person that they are, or what a moron they are. And it's like, I don't know, that grinds my gears. Like,
this is one of these things that like I don't know how far it is separated from within my understanding from just having grown up and out of spaces where people talked like this a lot, or the alternative where like language like this is like either has like gotten less common or less standard. Because like I've been watching a lot of older movies lately, and like this is kind of the way that people like have in the past talked to each other, or at least like there's like the and like I know that when I was younger, like there was like a lot of adults and like people that I was around like, in class that would like just sort of assume that this was the normal parlance, and like now it reads so aggressive and assumptive, and it's like to in my own brain, this is a Natalie line that categorizes her like more strongly in that sort of initial Flanderization that Mia had of her, where she was like a sort of like a bit backwards in the past, like ill-adapted bigot, and like this sort of like poorly written rom-com dialogue of was that your fault? Are you an idiot for allowing that to happen? Allow me to state the obvious. What the hell were you thinking? What the hell were you thinking, especially? Like I haven't heard a good "what the hell were you thinking" in a long time. I don't even know if there were ever good "what the hell were you thinking," but I definitely heard more of them.
It's like it's that very interesting thing of like she assumes that Mia like very gung ho, you know, just decided I'm gonna take them all out with my gun. Like no, I don't know. I think it definitely stems from like, I think the worst of this monster of a person, and she is going to do everything in her like ability to like fuck us up and make it difficult for us. Rather than, you know, recognizing that Mia is a bad person, with a lot of different angles on her. And like she is gonna fucking do her best to like get them out of here, but she's not everything's gonna go perfectly because it's not a perfect situation. You know, like it reads very like adult talking to a child. Which is bothersome.
I mean, the way that my dear friend puts it, of like Natalie going to two extremes of like sympathy and like abject. I'm sorry, I got a knock on my door.
Okay, so I guess the next quote, our next quote is, now we need to take the house.
No one needs to mind this cut whatsoever.
Yeah, there was no cut here. Nobody knows what you're talking about. It's fine. No, like, that would be crazy.
There definitely was no strangers knocking on my door in the middle of the night or rushing through my household.
I don't think they're a stranger, and it's also not the middle of the night.
Yeah, so that's how I'm not lying.
Yeah, true.
I can always I can always misrepresent.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm advocating for myself.
All right, don't worry, I won't gainsay you. So Mia saying, now we need to take the house. Gas won't do it, and I wouldn't put it past him to light the match if we leaned on that too much. And I was like, actually, no, Gas does it pretty well here at the end of the chapter. It seems like Gas kind of nailed it. He really is keen to light that match.
Yeah, she reads him exactly. Which is, you know, it's so cute that these two can understand each other so well.
Maybe they are the real star-crossed lovers.
Davy, Mia, Carson.
I love it, actually. I ship it.
They just got to upsize the current empire.
Yeah, you could call it like cutting claws, you know, and like that's or like something like that. I don't know. That's the name of the fanfic.
Okay.
And
anyway, cutting claws is not the worst ship name for Davy and and Carson. But I feel like the Cavalcarcia doesn't work either. That's good.
I like it, but it's not good.
I'm really of the hit every syllable school of thought. But
I think between the three of them, I think Carson would be like a piece of bloody meat between the two tops.
See, anyway, you have to say that.
I didn't have to say that, but I said it. I think the blood is important. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Oh, right. I'm laughing, and now this one's really fucked. Okay. So now we have Mia talking to Ripley. Will you be more upset if we didn't ask, or if you have to ask and then face them? And it's like, and this is obviously about killing the the people who have been torsoed. And it's like, she puts the fucking world on Ripley here. Like, this is an impossible moment. Like, it's so hard. Like, as the adult, there is a read of this where you say, the adult just has to make a fucking choice, like, do not put this on the kid. Incredibly valid read. But at the same time, like, with the specific dynamic between Ripley and Mia, like Ripley knows that she can make the choice. Like, even if Mia didn't say anything, like, Ripley knows that if she said, I want to do it this way, Mia would stop and would let her do it that way. So there's no, she can't, like, Ripley can't really hide behind the fact that, oh, Mia did it. It wasn't my decision. Like, I wasn't part of this. Mia, like, my mum, because she's an adult, just chose to do it because, like, she knows the way that these two interact, like, that she could say something and Mia would listen regardless, and Mia would follow through with what she wanted regardless, because that's just the dynamic they have. That's the kind of people that they are. And it's so, I don't know, it's impossible. Like, obviously it's fucked to ask this of an 11-year-old. Like, obviously, like, it's so horrible. But like, it is the extension of, like, what we were talking about earlier, where, like, Mia really gives Ripley so much agency, and you can make an incredibly good argument that she is giving her too much agency in this moment. Like, yeah, like, it feels like too much agency, but, like, what can you do? Like, this sucks. Like, this is going to scar Ripley for life, no matter what happens here. And I don't know. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't hate that she let Ripley do this, but at the same time, I mean, it's fucked. Like, it's completely fucked. Like, Natalie, like, makes the point, like, she's 11. And yeah, Natalie, you're right. Like, she's 11. It's fucked. It's horrible. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really torn on this point. Like, it's just bad. It's one of those moments where it's like, this is just fucked. I don't know. It's just fucked.
Joan Leth, which I think I'm saying right, it might be Jonah Leth, or John Leth, in the Discord, had, like, a brief conversation about the topic of, like, disabling life support and living with quadriplegia, the choice as it is posed, which is really, do you want to live like this, or do you want to die now? And as far as messengers for this goes, it's my opinion that Rip is kind of the only person in the room who can extend, like, empathy here,
Yeah.
like real understanding and meeting them where they're at, like as a person that's also been a victim of Davy in the same way.
Yeah.
But, like, I think this is a moment where Mia's parenting style is revealing its faults. Where, in her world, you pretty much can do whatever you want as long as you do it well, because, like, she breaks the law, like, she breaks the law every day. It's her whole job. So there's no reason that Rip can't do the thing that can't make this selection and do what she thinks is best, regardless of whether it is right. Whereas Natalie's more rigid mindset is coming across an encounter where, like, instead of engaging with any of this, like, oh, shades of gray, like, consider the possibilities. Like, what, like, would you be more upset if we didn't have, like, the plain and simple, she's 11, I think, is the most reliable stance here.
Like, I can't disagree, but at the same time, I don't know. I think, what do you think is the right thing to do is, like, it's so important. But no, I don't know. I'm completely stuck between the two of these. Like, it's just fucked. Like, given the situation where she's in, it's just fucked. But, like, I absolutely see the argument for being like, Mia's the fucking adult. Mia makes the decision. And she just tells Ripley what's happening. Like, take that burden away from Ripley. She doesn't need it. She's fucking 11. Yeah, but at the same time, like, the way that Mia, like, parents Ripley, the way in which she is a mother is so much built around, like, the personal choice of these kids. Like, it's so fucking amazingly, incredibly important that her children be able to choose at every point in time about anything. So there isn't a world, I don't think, where Mia says, Ripley, shut up, I'm deciding this. But I mean, maybe it would straight up just be better for Ripley if there was. But I don't know. This sucks a lot. Yeah.
Then there's that scene with Ripley being helped into the hazmat suit.
Oh, fucking. Yeah, look. Yeah. I'll get the quote now. I won't just react in pain. But like, it made her think of the early days when Ripley had been Tia's age. They hadn't yet figured out what she liked to wear. So many fights. And I'm like, I love that, like, Ripley had such a strong individual, like, fashion sense at such a young age. Like, good for her. Good for you, Ripley. You throw a fit if your mom tries to put you into a dress when you're 4 years old. Good on you.
Considered adding PEP and heavy duty gas masks to your because I think that is, and as far as the Rips aesthetic goes, I think that's up there.
That's pretty good. Yeah, look, I love this. I love this extra characterization of Rip. Like, we've known the whole story that she's been very independent. And like has had very strong personal sense of what things should be, which again does seem to be like, you know, passed down to her basically through Mia. Like, as we're just talking, as I was just talking about the way that like Mia is parenting her child. Yeah, I think it's very much a straight line from the little girl that's like, I will not wear this clothes. Like, I will not wear these. I have to wear something that I like. To her mom saying, you know, would you be more upset if we didn't ask, or if you have to ask and then face them? Like, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's, yeah. You can see how that developed into this, rather, with just the way that Mia is as a parent and the way that Ripley has been raised to be. Yeah. Right, anyway, now my final fun quote of the day. Wait, a doctor called out. He'd seen one of the jugs and realized what she was doing. Give me a suit! I'm like, it's so brutal, but also expected, you know, that Mia wasn't going to let these guys off the hook, and like kind of deserved. I don't, like, nobody deserves to like die choking from toxic gas, but they did butcher a whole bunch of people, including an 11-year-old child. So, yeah. Totally.
I've been warned away from creating mustard gas in the bathroom by mixing the wrong cleaning fluids together before.
I think everyone has been. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you just have to be told at some point, don't fucking mix cleaning chemicals together in general, but very specifically, yeah, these ones.
I don't think, in part of like that's a terrible idea. I don't think I've ever learned just how much of a terrible idea it is. Because
really?
I'm not the sort to experiment with the deadly neurotoxins. That's not really. That's like, I've played Portal 2. Okay, like I don't. My curiosity is sated in that line of thought. So just in case, like I'll admit to my ignorance, but like for any listeners that are perhaps in the same boat, just like, how lethal is this maneuver that Mia has pulled off?
I think it's pretty fucking lethal. I mean, like, mustard gas is what they used in World War I in the trenches. Like, like, you'll die, I think, relatively quickly. And it can cause like permanent damage if you don't die. From memory. Look, it's been a long time since I've looked up mustard gas. I must admit. God, that makes me sound like a freak.
Must admit.
I must admit. Yeah. Look, it's like, it'll kill you. Yeah. There's a good reason why everybody in this in this house, as soon as they noticed all the gas coming through, fucking ran away. And did not run away to just outside and stand there, but they ran away and like went and stood a good distance away. It's both incredibly deadly and potentially like permanent effects. Yeah, it's bad. Don't accidentally mix mustard gas when you're cleaning.
Yeah.
Are you looking it up?
So the estimated respiratory lethal dose is 1,500 milligrams per minute per meter cube. So on bare skin, that's 4 grams to 5 grams of liquid mustard gas, which is a lethal dosage. While droplets of a few milligrams may cause incapacitation and significant skin damage and burns. Mustard liquid and vapor can penetrate clothing. I guess my real question is, who survives this? Because if it's absolutely lethal, they're the only ones.
The people who survive it are the people that immediately ran away. Like, they'll probably be vomiting for a while. But yeah, Luckily, mustard gas is one of those ones that you can smell. so,
Okay.
So it's not one of the ones that's odorless. Yeah.
So I'm just I'm only ever going to use one cleaning the bathroom.
Very good call. If you learn anything from Claw, learn that only ever use one cleaning fluid at a time.
And remember to shampoo the heads of the heads that you cut off.
Well, I mean that's like that's rule 0. You know, like when you cut off someone's head, give it a proper shampoo. But like rule 1 is like use one cleaning.
That everyone knows and that I was definitely informed of.
Yeah. That's just like basic society shit. What's wrong with you? Anyway.
Even more in the dark. Is there anything that I do know?
Well, hopefully you know a bold and specific prediction.
I do. I think that not only does Carson die and Brian survive, but Mia and Natalie both get arrested for kidnapping Brian.
I love this. This is such an excellent prediction. I think it's true. I think it's 100% going to happen.
As we've established earlier in the episode, I am never wrong.
Never. So speaking of people that are never wrong, so this is my one. It's so wrong,
to be
correct.
Clear.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just never wrong. Yeah. So offering that one analyst $350,000 didn't work, but it's totally going to work on the other 2 analysts. That's my bold and specific prediction.
She's really built a rapport of trust now that she's shot.
Yeah. Them. Yeah. Well, I mean, the other 2 don't know that the other one got shot. I mean, they can assume, but they don't know. And that just means that these people are dangerous, and it's you gotta take that money and live. Yeah. So that's my bold. It's great. It's a great one. I think it's 100% chance. Okay. So, discussion question. Last week we asked,
what's the best hiding spot you've ever found or used?
Yeah, this was a really fun one. So Sweet Manzana says, there was this row of trees next to a fence in my school, and if you climb it a little bit, there was a cozy little space the kid would used to hide, hang out, and skip class in. It was kind of like a bald spot in the top of the trees that would never grow because there would always be someone up there every day. Easy for 3 kids to sit and hang out while being hidden from anyone in the ground. I don't know if many people knew about it or people didn't want to bother with climbing and getting scratched. I don't know. It's cute. I really like this one. What a fun little place.
I think all of these are like just like sweet, almost like straight from a fairy tale stories. I really appreciate that everyone cracked that out for what are a dour string of chapters.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Ace of Swords said that 2 hiding spots come to mind. One was my brother, the other mine. My brother's was during a family reunion. We had a bunch of cousins around, so there were a lot of people to help look for people after being discovered themselves. Try as we might, we couldn't find my older brother until someone went into a small room and looked up. He had his feet and hands braced against the opposite side walls of the tiny room, holding himself up. Of course, he could have held himself there the whole time. He was climbing up every time he heard someone come closer, knowing that people wouldn't spend long searching a tiny room to avoid a hiding spot. Mine was much less athletic. When playing hide-and-seek with my friends, I first chose to hide in an incredibly bad spot. I just waited in the bathroom, where anyone could have found me just by opening the door. I was pretty confident that it was such a bad spot and I would check it first, because you'd have to be an idiot to try to hide there. I had a simple plan. I waited until my friends moved, after checking some of the less obvious spots, and then I just moved to a spot they'd already checked. They still found me, but I was found lost, and I could hear them being confused for a while, which is the ultimate goal of hide-and-seek.
True. I mean, the thing is, it's like you have to not like giggle to yourself at that last point. I feel like that's where I always fucked up in hide and seek. So Hobo Demon says, when I was a younger and narrower man, I once seized an opportunity to invert the 3-pillow trope of convincing an assassin to stab an inert mass in a bed. My then girlfriend had quite a few pillows at the time, and I used them to fill a space under a comforter, a kind of quilt maybe, if that term is too localized. I don't know. It makes sense to me. Leaving an Amigara fault-style void for me to fill, such that an outside observer might notice that the top of their bed was a bit taller than normal, but I guess nothing else. I've asked the referent ex-girlfriend for her recollections of that event, but so far, my wife has not deigned to recall. Anyway, the best hiding spot is typically so in plain sight that nobody would look there because nobody would be dumb enough to think that would work. And I'd just like to quickly shout out Hobo Demon for doing the thing of like, oh, yes, my ex-girlfriend, when referring to your wife. I think that's always very fun. I always appreciate it.
It's an excellent comment. Cyrano de Bergerac said that I was playing hide and seek at an after-school care place once as a kid, and little Cyrano was so tiny that I was able to climb into the cafeteria oven and shut the door behind me. I must have looked like a roast chicken.
I didn't read this one before. Jesus Christ. Don't do that.
Well,
Please don't do that.
I was about to say that they haven't since, but Cyrano's currently hiding inside my house, so...
Well, hopefully they're not inside the oven.
I'm going to have
that is
to check.
worrying. Yeah, I think you will have to check, just in case.
Just for safety's sake.
Yeah. So Wildbow says, not my hiding place, but my brother's. We were 8 and 6, or around that, and our parents took us to Scotland, where we have extended family. As part of that, there's an ancient stone manor that's been in the family for a while. Nothing too fancy, but it's on a sprawl of rolling Scottish field and woodland. Was used for raising sheep. Our second cousins were there, and we got around to playing hide and seek with maybe a dozen of us. Our parents were happy to let us just run around and do our thing while they did theirs. My brother ran down the path a bit, found a large bush that was essentially hollow, so branches were arced with enough room for him to sit beneath, while the rest of us went inside and used the house and all of its nooks, crannies, and old furniture to hide. And I think we sort of implicitly treated it like the hiding place had to be inside, but it wasn't a declared rule. And then we forgot about him. We finished hide and seek and went to play other stuff. And this is just so mean. It was 2 to 3 hours later that our parents asked and started calling out, and my brother finally emerged from the bush in tears, crying about being forgotten. It's so mean. That's peak, like, fucking hide and seek. But, like, the fact that you guys just forgot. Oh, brutal. Brutal. I think that's mainly on you, Wildbow. I think, like, second cousins, you can't always be bothered remembering how many of them are. But, like, if your brother isn't there, like, come on, man.
You know, on the one hand, it's a consideration of, like, hey, I'm not going to sabotage my siblings. You know, like 2-3 hours, excellent time, high score, come on.
Okay, so our answers. Honestly, for me, like, I was shit at hide and seek when I was a kid. So I'm anti-answering this question. So as a kid, when I got sad, I would quote-unquote hide in my parents' bed, which means I would just, like, bundle myself up under the doonas and then cry. And I was always, like, a bit confused how everybody could always tell where I was so quickly.
How could this possibly be?
I know. I thought it was I genuinely as a child thought it was a good hiding spot. And then, like, it was only a while later that I was like, oh, it's just like a big lump under the bed. Like, no shit. A big sad lump.
I was going to answer this with an anecdote from my primary school days, where I lived immediately next door to the school, so I could just go home. And we shared a wall, so I would go over the wall. But the reason I'm telling that story as quickly as possible is because over the course of reading all these really sweet, cute stories, I've actually remembered some of my childhood that I've completely forgotten until now. Which is that when we would go stay at my cousin's house, the two of them, I had 2 siblings, the 5 of us would get out DS lights, which had a LAN game feature. Called Picto Chat, where you could draw things and send them to the chat and do the drawings. And so we'd play hide and seek, and also be like live blogging our location by like putting out clues.
That's so cute. And
I'd fully forgotten that had ever happened. I don't know how old I would have been.
I'm glad we didn't unlock like a traumatic childhood memory, which is where my brain went for a moment.
This is actually really precious. I think that the main hiding spot that I used was like, you know, I default to the closet, which was, you know, foreshadowing. But there was also this like rancid pool outside because it was in the country.
Oh, lovely.
Well, it was not like when I say country, I mean like the outback. So like it was far from places. And like this, when I say pool, I mean it was a big box that they had walled water into, and it didn't have like filters. Oh, no. So it would go bright green, and we basically never swim in it. Like I think maybe in all the years that I ever visited, I might have swum in it twice. But it was like built onto the slope and like this rolling green hill down into the forest below, like into the ranch where the cows were. And to the very edge of the Wi-Fi signal, and the rule is that if you've dropped off of the Wi-Fi and the picture chat wasn't working, then you weren't allowed to like if you lost signal, then it wasn't a legal hiding spot. So just kind of like sit on the hidden edge of the pool, like behind the rancid green, and then draw little pictures of like waves and dogs, because they had sheepdogs out there. Ah,
Cute.
A mote of pure joy. Where was this?
Wow, that's crazy. I think we needed a mote of pure fucking joy after this chapter. Ugh, yeah.
I guess I just missed my sister. She's left the country. She went back for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I sifting through the memories. Bit of a fosdick.
Lovely.
But this week's discussion question is:
what's a wacky idea for a Home Alone-esque trap that you'd like to see in a situation like Mia's? So referencing specifically the soap and gasoline on the stairs. I don't know, give us something wacky, something fun, something deadly, probably.
We really did have to tinker with the phrasing of this so that people wouldn't just go, well, in such a situation as this, I would die.
Which, yes, we would all die in this situation. Don't worry, we know.
Except for me, because I'm built different. But
well, you're built different. I'm not. I would die. Yeah, so what is just something that you think would be fun or interesting that to see, like, someone like Mia rig up in a situation like this?
You know, your superheated doorknobs, your scattered Legos and D4s used as caltrops, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect.
And with that, that's our show. Check out Wildbow's Patreon at patreon.com/Wildbow. This is his house filled with toxic gas. We're just politely requesting hazmat suits.
And please give us a rating and a review on the podcatcher of your choice.
If you want to chat to us about the show or follow along with live reads, check out our channel on doofmedia.com/Discord. Find the invite link at doofmedia.com/Discord.
Nailed that.
You know, you think after practice I would learn something. But, yeah, anyway.
Apparently not.
Reading comprehension gets worse over time. Who knew?
Well, it is late, so yes.
So this is what we get for a recording episode at 9 at night rather than 9 in the morning.
Yeah. Oh boy.
That explains the loopiness. And it's definitely not a gas leak.
No gas leaks here. All right.
Bye for now.
Bye.